So whenever you guys are ready, take it away.
Okay.
All right. Yes, I'm Kristen Neely. I'm the director for first year and transition programs.
And I'm Chris Hensley, and I'm the program coordinator for first year and transition programs. And to give y'all a little bit of a backstory on our office, because there is some changes that have happened over the last few years. Back in the 2014-2015 academic year, we were a combination office with the Office of Hispanic Outreach. And so at that time, we were known as the Office of Hispanic Outreach and Student Programs, and that's where new student orientation fell under. In the 2015-2016 academic year, those offices were split, and our office gained the campus tour program as well and became known as the Office of New Student Orientation and Prospective Student Experience. And then with our growing enrollment, growing office, and growing duties, this past year, current year, we are now known as the Office of First Year and Transition Programs with a new director and new initiatives for the office.
So when we were looking at the student success fees, we wanted to look at maybe 7 to 8 different things that we wanted to ask for funding, but then we realized that really what is our mission and what is the university mission and what is mission critical. When we looked at that, student wages rose to the top. So that's really, when you look at the back of our handout here, that's really what we've asked for, because if we don't have students, then we don't have really programs to put on for our students, incoming students. So you can see we have 5 pillars of the office. So Chris and I actually sat down and did a strategic plan, and we came up with the 5 pillars of our office that we do. So you can see we have campus visits, we have new student orientation, transition programs, communication plan, and then student leadership development. So underneath those, we actually put some numbers. The main reason why these 3 have numbers is because these are actually the ones that we are actually asking for. So we wanted to show you the impact of the new students that are coming in and why we need our staff members, our student leaders, to help us execute all of these programs.
And so how does this connect back to campus? So in our one page, as you can read, there is significant enrollment growth over the past couple of years, and those numbers are continuing to grow this year as well. When it comes to the campus visit program, 75% of students who attend a campus visit will apply for admission if they have not already. With that, there has been a 23% increase in admitted students at this time right now compared to last year, and our orientation numbers in turn are 47% up from where they were at this time last year as well. And as President Keck has said on numerous occasions, directly and indirectly to us, there is an overall goal of 2,400 freshmen. We don't know if that is 100% realistic, but we are going to work our tails off to get there, and our students are going to help us do that as well. So what could be the potential impact if this budget was cut? As you can see, we are asking for wages for both our line ambassador team and our orientation team. And so if we were to get a budget reduction, we would have to look at restructuring the line ambassador team, perhaps hire fewer students, and look at how we offer our campus tour options to make sure that we can still facilitate those tours. Same goes with the orientation team and what those summer requirements are. Currently, right now, all of the orientation leaders work every orientation session, and so we may have to look at, do they work all of them, do they opt in or out, how that would work. For the students that are able to be paid and hired, there could be the potential risk for burnout because they are taking on duties that would have been kind of divvied out among the other students who unfortunately wouldn't be hired if our office request was cut. And then as an office professional staff of 2, we are fortunate enough to have a graduate assistant this semester. And in our request, you can see we're asking for that and another. And we've relied heavily on Dean, our graduate assistant, to help us execute these programs, help us supervise our student groups. And so if we were not able to get that funding, we would have to relook at our office structure as well.
The very last thing that we want to leave with you is we have a quote up here from one of our orientation team members. Student development is very important, and a lot of our students that go through being an orientation leader or a line ambassador actually go into the master's program of higher education, and they come back and work for us. So we want to continue that growth.
This one is an orientation leader. I don't want to waste time by having y'all read the whole thing, but we'd be happy to share this with y'all. But we also have one from a line ambassador as well, and how her growth through that program has helped her.
Okay, let's open up for questions.
Yes, Will.
So I'm sure most of us are aware that when we come to orientation, we pay not only a $25 fee for ourselves, guests as well. Where does that money go and what is it used for?
The money goes actually towards all of our food and our housing, and then also for program. The money is also, the orientation budget that money is given is actually based for our salaries as well. And then also the money that comes in, like per se, let's say the money we collect over the summer, that is the budget money that we are using to pay for everything that we've already paid for, and then the year next. Does that make sense? So the money coming in, we pay for 2 years at a time. That's how budget works right now. Now, with both of us, we are trying to make sure that we are self-sustainable, because that's the end goal. But currently, the way that it has been in the past, we're trying to turn the ship around, if you will.
So under that self-sustainable title, is that how the Lion Ambassador annual scholarships would become self-sustainable, or is that through?
Currently, those
Something
funds are provided by the enrollment management or retention account,
Okay.
but our office as a whole has been tasked to be self-sustainable, and so we are seeking ways to fund that through our office.
So right now, do you all have 30 Lion ambassadors working for you, and then that's where this money, or this number of people is coming from, or is that how many you think you need?
We do usually hire for 30. Currently, we have, I believe, 28. Is that right? So that's 30 is a full staff, and then we hire them once a year. And then, so if we lose, we lost 2 over the year, but 30 is the full staff.
So just as a previous orientation leader,
Mm-hmm.
I have experience, like intimate experience with the not only logistics but the student side. And just to clarify, can you talk about the need for 30 students as orientation, or that there needs to be 30 students for orientation?
Yeah. So the orientation leaders go through training, obviously, throughout the spring semester, but during the summer at each of the sessions, we have both a freshman track, a transfer track, and a parent and guest track. But then we also have a team of production and logistics people who are helping us behind the scenes. So each of those 4 entities have a group of orientation leaders with them that equal up to that 30 number. And so there are different roles going on throughout the day as the schedule is progressing, and different tasks that they need to be complete. Some of those are in front of the students giving sessions, some of those are getting them from session A to session B, some of those are assisting with advising, and then like I said, the behind the scenes, helping make sure that different things are set up so that when people enter the room or enter the showcase hallway, that those things are there and ready to go.
I do have a question about the Lion Ambassador. So I know that, I mean, at least over the summer, there's like certain times that a tour is given. Is that how over the semester it is? Or do you
Yes.
sign up for a time?
Mm-hmm. So we give tours Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. and then 2 p.m. And then we have group visit tours. So you can see this number here of like 9,582 campus visits. That's just kind of an estimate on how many people came through our office throughout the year. We have group tours every day. You probably see them at the noon time. So plenty of high schools, sometimes minimum usually 50 students, but it goes up until 100 first graders. We really don't turn many people away. So they have 3 kind of times throughout the week that they give tours. So one Lion Ambassador they have 2 tour shifts throughout the week.
If y'all were to get weren't granted the full amount of money that you're requesting, what would you like to look at if you had to, how would you maneuver around that, like, and still run the program efficiently?
Okay, I was going to say, really with orientation leaders, that's a huge piece. Our orientation budget is pretty lean, I would say. But unfortunately, the problem is that the Lion Ambassadors and our graduate assistants they're being funded out of another account right now. So if we had to be cut, I think we would try
we have new
to
administration,
partner or.
and so we would be seeking his assistance, but because he is new, we are trying to, he's only been here a week, so we are trying to figure out what exactly his approach to budgeting as a whole will be. In terms of a programmatic aspect, I think before we looked to cut any positions, we would look at what the requirements of that position is. And I would say that for the orientation team or the line ambassadors. How many shifts do they work? How many hours do they work? And what are they getting paid? And so we can see, breaking it down, like, is there a more equitable way to do it if the funding was lessened? If the funding was cut completely, that would be a completely different story, because all of these programs are necessities for the campus, and enrollment in general, but we would seek assistance from our administration for that.
Did you say you're working with only one GA right now?
Yes.
So could maybe that be a part, not, you're not cutting it, but you just don't receive that funding because we're so tight this year?
That is definitely an option.
Instead of cutting anything, just
yeah.
work under what you're working with now?
Currently, the GA that we do have focuses on new student orientation and helps advise and supervise our executive orientation leaders. Unfortunately, there is not as much focus as we would like on the line ambassador team, and so that would be the second GA's focus, would be their supervisor advisor. And we recently did a hierarchy in terms of a lead line ambassador role. So getting somebody that can give them that focus, it is the intention for a second GA.
And with main event, there was about 14, as we all know, there was 1,455 students that came to main event in the spring. So that was kind of a big wow if we had a GA to kind of help us with that, and to kind of basically organize all of it and try to execute it, that would have been helpful as well. But you're exactly right, if we could just keep going with the way we are, then we would, yeah, be happy with that.
In terms of hand raising.
Okay, so two questions. The first one, as far as the O team participation, do you think that they would still have the same enthusiasm for the position if it was not paid?
That would be a good question. I think our student profile in general is you have to have jobs. So they would have to get their job somewhere. They would have to be paid somewhere to do it on a volunteer basis. I know models that do have a volunteer basis. I don't know if our student can afford that. I don't know if the best of the best, the cream of the crop, would be able to, have a job. Some of our students have 2-3 jobs, so.
I would say yes. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, well, Jasmine and I both were orientation leaders, and so, the thing of it, like, I served 2 years, and the financial incentive is really a bit of it. In that you have 8 orientations, and you're there from 2 o'clock on the first day to 4 or so on the second day. So that entire period of time is what you devote. You stay up late, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, depending. And then the entire spring, you don't get paid for that, you get trained. Now you get to go to NODA for a small amount, but this is really good for bringing and helping keep the good students. Now, like Texas Tech, I think, is one example. College Station, they have the volunteer basis, but at the same time, they have students who are so endowed, I would say, with school spirit that they will just give up that time and do it. Now, it is possible, but I just don't know.
Make a requirement of the scholarship?
I think you had a second question. I don't
Got
want
about time for this last question here.
Okay. Is there any way that you could possibly save money as far as line ambassadors go by consolidating the smaller groups at least that come to tours on campus? And just scheduling dates that they can join other groups and then consolidating that time and the energy that's wasted?
I think that could be a model that we look at. Currently, right now, our group tours are Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock. We could look at only offering certain days. Honestly, logistically, for the office, that would help a little bit as well. One thing for the line ambassadors, currently they are paid via this scholarship stipend, if you will, but also at an hourly rate. That is a change that we are making, and we're going to work to cut the hourly rate so their scholarship, which is labeled, but it's really more of a stipend, would be their only form of payment. And then they have certain requirements And the reason that we're doing that is to make it equitable, because that's how the orientation leader stipend works as well. You have certain requirements.
If you had to, Chris, would y'all raise the fee if you had to go from $25 to say
Time,
35?
Can we answer that?
sorry.
No, that's
Okay,
right.
yeah, no.
Yeah, we wanna-